people tend to leave you alone when you're a 12-year-old black belt. They don't want to come near you, you know. The bullying stopped by that point. And you're so damn confident because you have this big goal of becoming a black belt. And on the way, you've got these little colour belts that you're working towards, and each one just ups your confidence.
Tell me about your childhood, because I think you were bullied as a child, which is ultimately what led on to your adventure into martial arts.
That's what made me. I know it sounds weird, but I got bullied by a kid at school, and it was tough going between the ages of 5 and 7 by one particular kid.
What does bullying mean as a 5 or 6 year old? I mean, just horrible names.
When you look back at it now, it's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? And it's it's getting kicked under the table and stealing your milk. Calls names. I used to hide in the playground. I mean, the kid was just big compared to me. I was a skinny little flipping tiny guy and very underconfident, hated school, couldn't do anything at school. And if you're underconfident at school, you just attract these kind of people. This kid was from a wealthy family, super successful. Yeah, it's one of those things. It was meant to happen because it didn't happen, and I would never have sought out looking to do martial arts, and none of this whole crazy stuff that's happened. And we're good friends, me and him now. We actually met on national TV on a TV show called This Morning in the UK.
You were pushing him around in his wheelchair.
They were worried I was going to kick him in the head or something. But no, we met in front of millions of people, first time in 32 years. And now he's my anti-bully ambassador.
Oh, really?
Organisation, yeah.
But whose idea was it back then to get into martial arts? I mean, were you coming home crying about this? And...
Yeah. It was a massive thing. My mum was trying to get him expelled from school, and it was constant, bruised all the time, and used to try and make up excuses of why I couldn't go to school, I'm not feeling very well. I was very good at doing that. Yeah, just coming home, and basically there was a kid next to me in the class, and he did a martial art called jiu-jitsu. And he said, Matt, come along to the class because you can defend yourself against Anthony, who's the bully. And I went to the class, and I didn't like that particular martial art, but in the room next door there's another one called Taekwondo. And I had long legs, and obviously not as long as they are now when you're like 7 years old, but I was very good at Taekwondo for some reason. I could do the splits already, all the high kicks, and for a change, I felt I was getting praise from my instructor for something I was good at, rather than getting criticised all the time for not being able to draw dinosaurs properly at school and doing pointless stuff that I was never going to use. So I just found my purpose, my passion. I just knew that was going to be my career path.
Tell me, I mean, as a parent now, and I guess we do live in a slightly different society than 30 odd years ago, when you were a kid. I mean, what would you say to your kids who were in the same position as you, or what would you do? Because I think on the one hand, you get the parents who want to go into school and say, my kid's getting bullied, you need to tell that kid off, you need to suspend him, you need to expel him. And invariably what happens is, the kid finds out and he bullies you more and bullies you more. The flip side is, as a parent, you say, well, go and give him a good kicking, which, might shut him up, but then probably gets you expelled. And, I mean, what would you do? Is there a happy medium?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've not been asked this one before. So if I put my head teacher hat on as the owner of the biggest martial arts chain in the world, that I need to say the right thing, which is seek out help, basically. And that's why we've done well. We provide instructors for these kids to go to. But for my own children, Matt, I think that's an important, I've got 6 children, that I would openly want them to defend themselves at school. Because you're all right. The more complaining you do, it gets back to the parent, and the parent slaps the kid, and then the kid comes back even more angry, and you get bullied even more. But more importantly than that, bullying is a part of life. I get bullied now as we're doing this podcast. There's people talking about me, Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Facebook, talking nonsense about me. Bullying is life. It's just the way it is. The more you put yourself out there, the more you're going to be challenged. Your haters are really your lovers. They're your free publicists. And once you understand that concept, you have to roll with it. So with my own kids, I tell them that you're going to have challenges at school. Not everyone's going to like you. There's going to be peer pressure. And you need to be able to stand up to that. That's just the way life is. And when you're older, it's never going to stop. You're always going to feel that the world's unfair, that people are going to treat you bad. And that's just the way it is. And
I think as well, a kind of let's say a non-physical but business analogy, and it is bullying in its own way. Is that ultimately, someone's always going to want to take your lunch. You know, whether they're doing it by calling you names, whether they're doing it by kicking you for, let's say, for no benefit other than their own ego and trying to show off in the schoolyard, or whether this is business and someone wants to expand into your territory, to sell a cheaper coffee, to sell a better burger, whatever it may be. There's always going to be someone who's after what you've got, and you've got to be able to find a way to stand your ground and to fight back in any field. And I know some people listening to this might be thinking, "Oh, how the hell have we gone from bullying to business?" But they are the same thing. Every day I wake up, someone wants my customers, someone wants my missus, someone wants something, and it's my job to defend that in whatever way it is. I'm not saying I'm going around stabbing people, but you've got to
the legal system and lawsuits and things and so forth. Yeah, I mean it never stops, and that's an interesting point. You're here to defend your family, your friends, and your network, and your name and your brand and so forth. And yeah, to me, you got to embrace it. I mean, I wouldn't say I had it hard as a bully kid. Interesting enough, my parents' mechanism to try and stop it was keep changing me schools. But every time I changed school, because I'm the underconfident, shy kid, it used to attract another bully. So you just got to teach kids to understand, recognise who is the bully and to stay away from them. And more confident I got, it's just started to fade away. It went, and I've built obviously a huge career out of teaching stuff that the school system don't teach now, which includes anti-bullying techniques, and made a fortune out of it. And there's a big gap there. But a lot of it's down to boredom at school. You're getting taught things that are outdated, and kids are bored and they're picking on each other. And you can't teach 30, 40 kids the same way. They're all individuals. And for me, when I look at back at my school life, it was a complete waste of time. Just complete nonsense. None of it ever benefited me at all.
So you were about 7 when the martial arts started?
I was 7 years old when I started.
And I think I've read that you were a black belt by the time you were 12?
I was 12, yeah.
And in real terms, I mean, like, as a 12-year-old black belt, I mean, are you super handy? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you can knack the other 12-year-olds, but if an 18-year-old comes along, are you still like a weak 12-year-old, or can you handle yourself in those situations?
So being a black belt doesn't make you the... I mean, back then, it was brutal training that we had. I mean, you're from the north of the UK, so martial arts came from like the north, like from the Doncaster area. It was massive. That's where I took my black belt, funny enough. So in terms of defending yourself, you just get educated in the end that you don't use it for that. You don't need to use it for that. You wouldn't give somebody the pleasure to kick them around the head or whatever. It doesn't happen. Plus, people tend to leave you alone when you're the 12-year-old black belt. They don't want to come near you, The bullying stopped by that point. And you're so damn confident because you have this big goal of becoming a black belt. And on the way, you've got these little colour belts that you're working towards. And each one just ups your confidence. So time you get to black belt, you're not cared about the bullying anymore, about someone taking the mick out of you, but saying bad things about you. You don't get in those situations. So yeah, you can defend yourself, but you have to be realistic, right? If you're going to have like some strong 25, 30-year-old guy who's, 5 or 6 stones heavier than you, who's got a knife or something, and no matter what, you're not who you are, you're Bruce Lee, you can defend yourself against that type of stuff. I got interviewed recently by the media in the UK. We had this big fuss about these XL bully dogs, and they said, Matt, can you realistically defend yourself against one of them with martial arts? Of course you can. You've got to be honest. You've got a pair of jeans on, tight jeans on. You're not going to be doing high kicks, are you? When you're in your 40s trying to do those high kicks I used to be famous for in my early 20s, it's like I'll end up having a flipping hip replacement, What do I want to be doing that for? So you've got
I'm going to ask what you're doing with tight jeans on in your 40s anyway.
Yeah, that too, that as well. Yeah, no, that's not for me. But no, you have to be realistic with this stuff.